Good evening. My name is Michael Mitchell, and this is the first discussion post for History 530, American Christian Heritage. And today I chose Annie Miles' journal article, From Monster to Martyr, about Mary Dyer. And a couple parts on the introduction. I took colonial American history earlier this year, and I believe that Mary Dyer came across my thinking maybe once or twice, but nothing more than that. And the one reason that I chose this journal article is that Mary Dyer is not famous as far as women's rights or women's rights history within the context of general history that we teach, especially not the History 1301 that I teach for Houston Community College. Now, her good friend Ann Hutchinson obviously is, but Mary Dyer not so much. So Miles wrote this journal article to bring out the history of Dyer and her relationship with the Puritans as well as with the Quakers. And I thought, well, you know what? This is a good idea, and I really would love to know more about it. And I'm glad I chose it because even though it was the shortest in length of all the journal articles, it was actually, I believe, the most compounding, as it were. She's a very interesting individual, and I think Miles did a great job. And for that reason, that Myers looked at it for the same reason that I do with my students. I'm going to talk to you like a 4-year-old alien, or talk to me like a 4-year-old alien. And what Miles did is that she took Dyer from beginning to the end. Her relationship with the Puritans, her standing in the social order, as it were, within Massachusetts, her husband, and her banishment from the Massachusetts colony, not once, not twice, but 3 times, and her becoming a Quaker, which eventually that was the reason what got her banned. One thing that Myers did that I thought was really good was her relationship with Ann Hutchinson. The reason why she called it From Monster to Martyr is that Dyer gave birth stillborn to a child. Well, Ann Hutchinson was actually the midwife. And her relationship with Ann Hutchinson was quite extraordinary for the time. And Miles took the pains to bring that out. And for that reason, she came to a conclusion, which I'll get to later, which I thought, well, that's an interesting twist. But that being said, this is a woman that was banned from a colony 3 times for her religion. Miles took the pain, especially at the last part from the journal article from page 11 to 20, dealing with the ramifications of speaking out, dealing with a woman speaking out, dealing with a woman to have ideas. And because the Quakers were considered so being heretics, as it were, from what the Puritan point of view was, it put Dyer and others in another category. So the first time she was banned, her husband, William, came to her defense and had said, look, please don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. And her life was spared. Now, Miles thinks that it was histrionics. And I think she used the word agency. That could be. Now remember, her husband, again, high social order, so Miles believes that that's what saved her. The interesting part is that after she was banned, she came back again. Well, this time, Miles points out to the fact that the Massachusetts government said, you know what, we can't do this anymore. We just cannot deal with this. She's going to have to be an example. And so they executed her. The only writings we have per se is her speaking to those that were in charge for both the 2nd and 3rd banishments. Miles thinks that's one reason why she's not well known. Another reason was she was a woman. Another reason was she was a Quaker. And all of that come together leads Miles to think that that's why she's been forgotten. If you look around Boston and around the Massachusetts area, you don't see many. You don't see many. I guess statues, references to her. Well, Winthrop too. We went through that when we read about it. But for Dyer, it's even less. Now I'm going to get to the point which was really interesting. At the very last part, the last two paragraphs of this journal article, Miles brings up the fact that she believes that this undying faith and friendship between her and Hutchinson could lead an inference to lesbianism. And I thought, that could be. And it doesn't hurt the fact that Miles, being a women's rights historian from the University of Northern Iowa, which she teaches as we speak, and that, she can see that this could be inferred that way. I suppose you could. I know in my write-up, I didn't go that far with my thinking. I suppose you could. But overall, it was really good. I thought Miles handled it quite well. It was quite entertaining. And if a journal article can be entertaining as opposed to dry and tedious, I think it's hit its mark. And in Miles' introduction, and she had stated the issues she wanted to address, and she did it quite well. So, yeah, I think it was quite good. And plus, I had skimmed over 2 books about Mary Dyer I mentioned in them, and they brought out the same things that Miles did, but Miles took it to another level, especially with the lesbianism, which, again, I'm not denying that it happened. I think it could be a leap. I'm not so sure it was. I don't really know. But it was a good read, and I did pick up some more things on Dyer. So I thought it was a good read, and I enjoyed it.